Welcome to Special Guest Thursdays, where real voices bring real stories to life. This ain't just an interview. This is a spotlight on those making moves. Different paths, different struggles, different wins. But one thing in common, they showed up and leveled up. We're sitting down with leaders, creators, and game changers to talk pressure, purpose, and the mindset behind the grind. No scripts, no filters, just real. Because every guest brings gems, and every story brings power. This is the Final Boss Podcast, and this is Special Guest Thursdays. Tap in and tune up.
Welcome. Listen, man, welcome. It's a time to be grateful, right? It's a time to be grateful. And tonight, this is a special guest, special edition, Final Boss Podcast. Man, listen, I got a great show for you guys tonight. Look, tonight's a little different. Tonight, we're going to be doing a part of a promotion to my new book, GOTIME 2, not all aboard the Fired Up Train. That was the last book. The new book is GOTIME 2, The Train Has Left the Station. It dropped last night at midnight. It is out now where all books are sold. If you click on the link right here, you can go check it. You can go get both of those books from the website. Go check it out, man. Go check it out right now. Click on the link. GOTIME 1 is there, all aboard the Fired Up Train, and GOTIME 2 that just dropped at midnight last night is also there. GOTIME 2, The Train Has Left the Station, right? Speaking of which, let's get on board the Fired Up Train. Woohoo! Look, tonight's show. Hey, Ray, I see you, Ray. See you in the building. Thank you for joining us. Look, man, tonight is mostly about giving back, right? Giving back to those who supported me, giving back to those who have been giving me words of encouragement, right? Words of encouragement and giving me the energy and the push to just keep going, right? Because I'm like a train, I won't stop, can't. I was about to, oh boy, I was about to fudge that up, right? No fudging over here. But, that's the name of the game, man. And that is the story. So before we even get started, let's get into the particulars. Admin, right? I just told you about the books. That's GOTIME 1 right there. You're going to see GOTIME 2 on display at season 5, The Harvest, which is 2 weeks away. 2 weeks away, man. We going into season 5, The Harvest. Is around the corner, right? We're 10 episodes out. And once we get there, man, we got a new logo. We got new shows. We have new presentation, man. The whole Final Boss Podcast is being revamped, right? It's being revamped completely just for the season of the harvest, right? Because we're not taking that lightly. We're taking the season of the harvest very, very delicately and very, very, very important, right? So, season of the harvest, episode number 300 is around the corner, right? So, if you want to get on, like usually on our Thursdays, you shoot us an email if you want to be a part of the show. If you have questions, concerns, or anything of that nature, shoot us an email at info, that's INFO, at thefinalbosspodcast.com, all one word, right? INFO at thefinalbosspodcast.com, all one word. Shoot us an email, questions, concerns, want to be on the show, let us know, right? Get you vetted and get you on the show, man, and we can have we can have many conversations, right? Because this is what we do. So, got that out the way, right? And the greeting of the day. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. That is the greeting of the day, man, and this is for entertainment purposes only. Let me go ahead and get rid of these banners. The banners are out of here. right? The banners are out of here. So I hope everyone has had a productive day and a productive week thus far, right? Thus far. So, like I said, let's get down to the business. This is season 4, The Rebirth, Arc 5, The Declaration, episode number 291. And tonight is a special edition episode. And what we're going to be talking about tonight, go time 2, the train has left the station, right? Go time 2, the train has left the station. So, family, to my smarts, to everyone in the community, my smarts, my final bosses, my motivators, my warriors, everyone in the community, thank you for supporting me in the first book. I told you it was going to be a trilogy. So the third book will be coming out probably early 2027, right? If you know me, you know I'm going to push and market the hell out of this book. I think GOTIME 1 dropped last October, and I've been promoting and pushing it ever since until it reached Amazon bestseller. Man. And so this time I'm doing the exact same thing, right? So we have to get this book to Amazon's bestseller list, right? That's the mission. So, family, I got that out the way, right? I got all the particulars out the way. Now, let's get into the brass tacks of the evening. And the brass tacks of the evening comes from none other than yours truly, right? Yours truly. And here it is. The train has left the station. The only, where's my wand? Where's my talking stick? The only decision you have left is whether you're on it, right? That's the brass tacks. I'm gonna say it again, right? Pay attention. The train has left the station, and the only decision you have left is whether you are on it. That's the brass tacks, man. That's going to lead us into the conversation of tonight. So, family, welcome. For those who are just now joining us, thank you for joining us. You're at the right place. You're where you're supposed to be. The universe brought you here. So, stick around. Everyone else, Smartz Finalbosses Motivators Warriors, you already know what time it is, right? But tonight is different. There's no special guest. It is a Thursday, and it is Special Guest Thursdays, right? And we are live here 9 o'clock, most of the time, Eastern time, right? And you already know where you are in this minute, at this moment, right now, watching the show, which is live, right? So, for those who don't know, I'm the Final Boss. This is the Final Boss podcast. And look, tonight's a little different, right? Tonight, there is no guest, right? There's no guest chair, right? Tonight, the guest chair and the host chair are the same chair, because tonight, the special guest is me, right? And before you laugh, because I know you guys are laughing, I knew you could hold it in, right? Before you say, Final Boss, he finally ran out of guests. And I'm gonna tell you why, right? Because some nights the story, right, sitting in the building is the story that has to be told. It is better to be told than by yours truly, right? 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 I don't hear y'all agreeing. Oh, there you go. Okay. All right. So, family, the story is right here in this chair, right? And I mentioned earlier that GOTIME 2, the train has left the station, dropped at midnight last night. While most of everyone was sound asleep, right, on the East Coast anyway. And this is something I've carried for years, right? I've carried this thing right here for years, right? And it stopped being mine, and it became yours, right? GOTIME 2, the train has left the station, is officially out, and you can grab it right now. Click on the link. And right now, today, Not next week, not coming soon, not pre-order, but out, right? And you can go to Amazon, look up the cover, go to Amazon, grab the title, and you can purchase it there, right? This moment, this very second, right? While I'm talking to you, right? And then you can hold book 2 of the GOTIME series in your hands or on the screen, whatever your preference is, right? And I want you to understand what that is all about, what it costs, right? Because I'm going to spend the next part of this evening walking you through it, right? And here is here's the shape of the night, right? First, we're going to talk about you, the community, right? Because book 1 did not become a Amazon bestseller on March 12th of this year because of me. It hit number 1 because of the communities that carry this show every single week. Then we're going to get honest about the process and the real process, the one nobody posts about, right? Of taking a concept out of your own head, dragging it all the way out until it becomes a finished book that's sitting on your shelf, right? Then we're going to open up the train doors on the fired up train and look at what book 2 actually teaches us. We're going to be talking about the 6 building blocks of reward, mostly because this is not a victory lap. This is a coaching session. Then we're going to talk mission because book 1 hit number 1 and book 2 is not allowed to do less, right? And I would tell you about the Harvest Before the Harvest special, right? Which is for digital copies only. So listen close when we get there, right? When we get there, we're going to close by looking forward because the train does not stop for book 2, right? But here's the frame I need you to hold while you are watching the show. Because this episode is not me asking you to celebrate me. This episode is me coaching you the same way I coach you every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Sunday, and every week of this arc, the declaration, right? The book is the vehicle. You are the passenger. And the title is not a slogan. It is a fact. The train has, in fact, left the station. It left at midnight. The question tonight is not whether the train is moving, because it is. The question is whether you are standing on the platform watching it or whether you are in your seat, right? Watching this as we go through these next couple of minutes, right? These next couple of minutes. One mission is on the table and one family in the building. So if you don't have your coffee, go grab your coffee, right? If you don't have your notebook, go grab your notebook. Tell somebody in your house to come sit the fuck down. Tell their asses to sit down, right? Because you're going to want to witness. You're going to need a witness for this. Now, let's ride. Let's ride. Let's get on the board, the fired up train. And when we come back from this breach, I'm opening the gratitude ledger and family. The ledger is long, right? So let me take you back to March 12, 2026 of this year, right? That was the night of season 4, The Rebirth, launched at episode number 201. And that was also the day GOTIME, All Aboard the Fired Up Train, became an Amazon bestseller. The same day, right? That was not a coincidence, family. That was a covenant. That was this community deciding together on one day that we do not do small, right? And I need to be precise about what happened because I have watched people rewrite their own history and cut everybody else out of it, and I refuse to do that. I did not hit the bestsellers list, right? We did it together, right? I didn't do it. We did it, right? An author, listen, I'm sunk to the bottom of the floor. I don't know what's wrong with this damn chair. It's time for me to get in the chair. An author alone cannot make the bestsellers list. An author can make a book. A community makes a bestseller. Every single one of you who bought a copy in that launch window, you are on the ledger. Every one of you who bought two, one for yourself and one for somebody else who needed it, who bought the hard copy, the soft copy, and the digital copy, you are on the ledger more than once, right? The ones who posted the cover on your page when you had nothing to gain from it. The ones who left an honest review, not a favor review. An honest one. That told strangers that this book was worth their money, right? The ones who told you, your coworker, your cousins, your barber, your even your pastor, right? The ones who showed up in the live chat every week and turned the podcast into a family reunion. That's what happened. The ones who messaged me privately and said, "Dino boss, chapter such and such changed how I move." You do not know what those messages did for me or meant for me, right? On those nights, I wanted to quit, right? I wanted to quit. Writing a book is not an easy feat, right? And book two, you do not know how often I wanted to quit writing. But tonight, I'm telling you, right? Because here is what gratitude actually is, right? First, shout out, man. Big shout out to my mom's, man. Big shout out to her, T-Biscuit, #1 supporter, right? Shout out to my the rest of the family who supported. Shout out to the big auntie. Shout out to Big Mike. Shout out to Big Mike. Shout out to my pops, man, and to my cousins and everybody else, man, and all of you in the community, right? You got all of you guys get a big shout out, right? So, gratitude, man. Gratitude is not a feeling first. Gratitude is a record. And feelings, because feelings always fade, right? Feelings fade. You've been in that relationship that you're in. You know those feelings fade, right? They usually fade on a Friday, right? But look, records get read back. So tonight I'm reading the record back to you, right? When I get there, you built the bestseller, right? You built the platform this show stands on. You built the credibility that made a second book possible and a third, right? Because publishers and readers do not bet on books. They bet on movement. And you guys are that very movement, right? And I want my new listeners to hear this too, right? Yes, I'm talking to you. Because some of you found this show last month and you feel like you missed the story. Well, you can go to our website at www.thefinalbosspodcast.com and watch all 290 episodes to get caught up, right? But let me tell you this. You didn't miss it, right? You didn't miss a thing. You walked in at the best part where you were supposed to walk in at, right? Because book one was the proof of concept. Book two, the one that dropped at midnight, is the proof of pattern. And you get to be a part of that pattern from day one, right? So you get to be on the ledger this time, right? Because with book two, The Train Has Left the Station climbs the charts over the next few days, and it will. Your name is going to be written into the climb the same way the Day One family got written into on March 12th, right? So before we go on to continue, right, let me just say this in plain English, right? With no production, right? No production whatsoever. There's no music on here ever. We don't do music on our show, right? I want to say thank you. Outright thank you, right? To every community, every pillar, every listener, and every time zone who carried book one up the mountain. Thank you, right? You did that. Now, sit tight because the next couple of minutes, I'm calling out each community by name. We're going to start with the Smartz, the Final Bosses, the Motivators, and the Warriors. And each of you carried a different corner of this thing, right? And each of you is getting your flowers on the record right now, tonight, individually, right? Starting right now. So let's get to it. So let me start with my Smartz. You know exactly who you are. You are the thinkers, the analysts, the ones who do not clap until you have checked the math. You are the community that keeps this show honest, and I love you for it, right? When book one dropped, you did not just buy it, you interrogated it, right? You sent me questions about frameworks. You cross-referenced chapters against your own field and your own discipline and your own data. Some of you pushed back on the record in the chat and made the conversation chopper. That is your gift to this family. You turn content into curriculum. Thank you. Right? So here's what I want to say directly to the Smartz about book 2, The Trainers Left the Station. This book was built for the standard. Book 1 was about who you be, character, identity, and internal foundation. Book 2 is tier 2 of the trilogy, architecture, what you build, capability, right? This is the systems book. This is the one with the 6 building blocks of reward laid out as an actual architecture, not just pep talk. Vision, clarity, discipline, architecture, skill supremacy, relationship capital, financial foundation, and physical vitality. 6 blocks, each one load-bearing, each one testable in your own life. Smartz, I'm telling you now, this is the book you've been waiting for me to write. Read it with a pen, with a highlighter, break it, try to find the gaps. And when you find it, right? And you find that it holds, do what you do best. Teach it to somebody. Teach it to somebody who needed it explained one level deeper, right? Now, let's move on to the final bosses, right? Final bosses, my namesakes, right? The ones this whole show is named after. You are the builders, the owners, the executives, the ones carrying payroll and the family on the same back. You are the community that understood book 1 fastest because you live the stakes daily. You do not read for entertainment. You read for ammunition. When book 1 hit number 1 or bestseller, it was Final Bosses buying in bulk. It was Final Bosses putting copies in the hands of their teams, their mentees, their own kids. You treated a book like an asset because you understood it was one, right? Final Bosses, hear me out, right? Book 2, The Trainers Left the Station, is your operations manual. You already have the identity. Book 1 confirmed it. What book 2 gives you is the build order. Which block first? Which block is quietly cracking under your empire right now while you are busy polishing a different one? And I promise you, every final boss listening tonight has one of the 6 blocks in disrepair. And most of you already know which one. Well, this book would not let you look away from that, right? Or whatever it is. And that is why you need it on your desk, not on your someday list, right? So, and to both of those communities, right? Let me connect you guys. Let me connect you, right? Because you are stronger linked together. Smartz, final bosses, they need your rigor. Final bosses, the Smartz need your urgency. The book speaks both of your languages on purpose. It gives the Smartz a framework worth studying and the final bosses sequence worth executing in the same chapters. That was deliberate, right? That took drafts. You will hear about it later on tonight, right? And I would not sugarcoat what that costs. But right now, 2 more communities are waiting for their flowers, right? So let's give them their flowers. Family, let's give the motivators and warriors their flowers, right? So let's start with my motivators, right? Motivators, if you're sitting down, stand up. Stand up, motivators. Stand up at attention. Get on board the fired up train wherever you are, because you are the heartbeat of this family. You are the ones who bring the energy when the energy is not in the building. You are the encouragers. You are the ones who feel the live chat with fire, the ones who take a clip from Monday's show and put it in a group chat where it reaches somebody I would never meet, right? Motivators, understand this and understand this well, right? Marketing budgets do not make a book #1 bestseller, or it doesn't happen. But you did it. You did it. Enthusiasm that cannot be bought is the most valuable currency in publishing. And you spent yours on me. I'm so grateful, right? And you did it freely, week after week. And there are people reading GOTIME right now, changing their lives right now, who found that book because a motivator would not shut up about it. That is legacy, and that is yours. So, motivators, here's your assignment for book 2. The train has left the station, and I'm going to give it to you as an assignment because I know you. You want the ball. You want the football, right? Do what you did for book 1, but do it louder and do it faster, because launch week velocity is what moves a book up the chart. Post the cover today, tag the show, tell your people the train is boarding, and when you read the chapter on relationship capital, you're going to see for yourselves on the page, because motivators are the living proof of that building block, right? You are what relationship capital looks like when it is real. Now, let's move on to my warriors, right? To my warriors, come into the room, right? To my warriors. You are the fighters, the overcomers, the ones listening to the show right now from the middle of a storm, not after it. Some of you are rebuilding from a loss right now. Some of you are working a job that does not even see you. You're raising kids that need all of you. You're fighting a battle nobody in your circle even knows about. Warriors, I want you to know that when I wrote this book, in the hardest stretches, when the manuscript was fighting me back, because it did, I thought about you, because you did not get the luxury of quitting, and so do I. I don't give myself the luxury either. My mom, T-Biscuit, asked me today, she's like, do you ever get tired? I said, no, mother. God does not want me to get tired. Does not want me to get tired, right? So, you guys held me to a standard just by existing, right? Warriors, listen. Book 2 is titled The Train Has Left the Station, right? The train has left the station. And I know how the title might land if you feel behind. So let me reframe it for you right now, tonight, on record. The train leaving the station is not a door closing on you. It is proof that movement is possible. Trains that leave stations pick up passengers at the next stop, and the next one, and the next one, and the one after that. Your job is not to mourn the platform. Your job is to get on the next stop, and this book is the map to the next stop. The chapter on physical fertility was written for warriors running on empty. The chapter on discipline architecture was written for warriors whose willpower is spent, because the discipline that depends on feeling strong is not discipline. That, my friends, is called weather, and usually it's a bad storm, right? Now, we got the 4 communities out the way. Smartz Finalbosses Motivators Warriors. We talked about the 4 pillars, holding up one house, one book. Book 1 proved the house is real. Book 2 is building the next floor together, starting today. Now, family, take a breath, right? Take a breath, because the next few minutes, right, is the one I've been dreading and needing to give you guys all week, right? And I'm about to tell you about what these books actually cost me to write. No highlight reel. We're talking about the bill. So stay with me. Stay with me, right? Now, Smartz Finalbosses Warriors Motivators. You know this show runs on brand expansion protocol, and the first pillar of that protocol is cost confession. So here it is, right? Family, tonight's cost confession, it is a heavy one, because people see the finished book, the cover, the launch, the #1 banner, Nobody sees the invoice. Tonight, I'm going to show you the invoice and we're going to talk about it, right? Because writing a book is not typing. It's not typing, right? And let me kill that math. Let me kill that math and myth first, right? Typing is the last 5%, right? Usually, most of it was handwritten. Most of the books that I write start off handwritten, right? The first 95% is a war between the idea in your head and your own limitations. GOTIME 2 started as a concept years before it was a manuscript. The train metaphor, the 6 building blocks of reward, the entire tier 2 architecture of what you build, all of that lived in notebooks, in voice memos recorded at red lights, and in margins of other documents, long before it lived in chapters. And here is the brutal part about concepts. A concept in your head is perfect, right? The moment you start writing it down, it becomes imperfect because now it has to survive contact with language, with structure, with the question of whether it actually helps a real person on a real Tuesday, right? I watched perfect ideas down a page and had to rebuild them as useful ones. That is a grief nobody warns you about when it comes to writing books or any ideas for that matter, right? So now the cost in hours. I wrote this book while running Sat Did You Not, while producing 5 shows a week for this podcast, while finishing my MBA, while pushing through and all the other stuff, right? That means that the book got written in the hours nobody wants. And a lot of times those hours were 4 a.m. before the world even had requests. Because the late nights after the live shows when my voice is gone, like it's trying to go now, my hands still worked. Weekends, I told people I was resting. I was not resting. I missed things. I became a hermit. Family, I missed dinners. I missed downtime. Look, relationships were destroyed, right? And there were relationships I had shortchanged, and I have to pay those back later. And I'm still paying some of those installments. And that's the truth. The book on your screen right now is made of hours that were subtracted from somewhere else. And if you are committed to anything, listen, I'm telling you right now, if you commit yourself to anything, you only have a whole of yourself. If you're committing something to 100% of yourself, anything else after that is going to suffer. I'm telling you from experience over and over again. I've seen it. I've witnessed it. I've done it, right? And the cost and doubt. And this is the part I really don't want to say, right? But I'm going to say it anyway, right? There were nights I sat in front of the manuscript convinced that book one's success was a fluke. The bestseller that happened on March 12th was lightning, and lightning does not strike twice. And I was about to embarrass everybody who believed in me, right? Doubt does not care about your track record. Doubt showed up on my desk with credentials and receipts. And the only thing that beat it was the same thing I coach you on every Motivation Monday. I did not use statements of I feel the doubt. I outworked it. I applied discipline architecture to my own book about discipline architecture. And family, there's no stranger experience than being coached by your own unfinished manuscript, right? Why am I telling you all of this right now on release night when I could be up here polished and victorious? Because you are chasing something too. A business, a degree, a rebuild, a book of your own, a relationship. And if you only ever see my finished products, then I'm lying to you by omission. The cost confession is the coaching. It cost me sleep. It cost me comfort. It cost me certainty. It cost me love and seasons of my life. And standing here on the other side, holding book 2, I'm telling you the exchange rate sometimes was worth it. Sometimes it wasn't, right? Sometimes it wasn't. But look, now that I got that out the way, let's open up the train doors and let me show you with what all that actually costs, right? Let me show you. So, book 2, GOTIME 2, the train has left the station. Let me give you the guided tour because I want you buying this book knowing exactly what you're boarding and what you're getting, right? The GOTIME series is a trilogy, and the trilogy has an architecture. It is not 3 books that happen to share a brand. It is 3 tiers of one climb. Tier 1 was book 1, GOTIME, all aboard the fired up train. Tier 1 is who you be, character, identity, the internal work of becoming a person worth betting on. You cannot skip that tier, which is why it came first. Tier 2 is the book that dropped at midnight, right? Tier 2 is what you build, capability, right? Taking a forged identity and turning it into structures that produce. And then there's tier 3. Coming down the track is how you dominate, execution. And we'll talk about the future later on. But hold your architecture in mind because it tells you where you're standing. Book 2 is in the middle of the climb, and the middle of the climb is where most people quit. And that is exactly why this book exists. Now, the title, right? The train has left the station. The train has left the station, right? I chose that title because it does 2 jobs at once. And I want you to feel both. Job 1, it is a warning, right? It is. Time is not neutral. Every day you spend deciding whether to build is a day the train travels without you. Opportunity does not idle at the platform out of courtesy. The economy is moving. Their technology is moving. Your competition is moving. AI is moving, and pretending otherwise is the most expensive comfort on the market. Job number 2, and hear this clearly, it is an invitation. An invitation. Because a train in motion is a train you can still board at the next stop. The book is written to be your next stop, wherever you are, however late you believe you are. Chapter 1 meets you at the platform you're already standing on, not the one you wish you were standing on, right? And the spine of the book is the 6 building blocks of reward, right? And the first stop is vision clarity, right? So you stop building the wrong thing efficiently, right? And then there's discipline architecture. So your progress stops depending on your mood. And then there's skill supremacy. So the market has a reason to choose you. Then there's relationship capital. So you are never climbing alone. And then financial foundation. So one bad month cannot delete your whole entire build. And physical fertility. So the builder does not collapse before the building is done. Those are the 6 blocks. And the book does not just describe them, it sequences them, right? Because order matters. And you will see how each block loads onto the one before it. And you will diagnose your own structure as you read. Most readers find one block they thought was solid and it wasn't, right? That discovery alone is worth the cover of the price, right? Now, book 1 lit the fire. The fired up train gave you the engine. Book 2 lays the track and builds the cars. And over the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through all 6 blocks, 2 at a time, and coach each one directly with the family and the community, right? Not as a summary, a coaching session. So get something to write with because starting right now, this stops being a launch episode and becomes a masterclass, right? Vision clarity and discipline architecture is up next. So let's get into it, right? Vision clarity. That's block 1. Right? Family, I need you to understand why this block comes first. Because people always want to skip it and get to the grind. Here's why you can't. Because effort without clarity is just expensive motion. I've watched brilliant, hardworking people spend 5 years building at full speed in the wrong direction. And the tragedy is not that they were lazy. They were the opposite of lazy. They were just unclear. A train with a full engine and no destination is not transportation. It is a very fast way to get lost, right? So, vision clarity, right? The way book 2 teaches it is not a vision board. It is not a mood. It is not a specification. Can you describe your life, your building, in terms that are precise enough that a stranger could look at your calendar and your bank statement and tell whether you are on track or not, right? That is the standard. Vague visions produce vague weeks compound into vague decades. So the chapter walks you through sharpening the picture until it can cut, right? What exactly, you ask? By when exactly? And measured how. And here's the part that stings. Let me be clear. At the cost of what? At the cost of what? Because every real vision has a price tag. And a vision you have not priced is a fantasy. Smartz, you will love this chapter because it essentially requires engineering of your own life. Warriors, you would need this chapter because when you're fighting through a storm, clarity is the difference between swimming to shore and swimming in circles, right? And then there's block 2. Let's get into it. Whew. Man, I'm burning up. Block 2 is discipline architecture. Now listen to the second word because it's the whole point. Architecture. No, not discipline to fill in, not discipline to structure. Family, I'm going to say something that might free somebody's mind tonight, right? I'm giving you the red pill. You do not have a discipline problem. You have a design problem. You've been trying to white knuckle your way through an environment that is engineered against you and then blaming your character when the environment wins. That is like leaving your doors unlocked in a storm and blaming yourself for rain getting in, right? Look, discipline architecture means you build systems that make the right behavior the default and the wrong behavior expensive. It is your calendar deciding your morning before your mood wakes up and gets a vote. It is standing on appointments with your own priorities that you're going to honor, like client meetings. It is the removing of the decision entirely because every decision is a door of doubt that you can walk through. Look, book 2 itself on discipline architecture, I told you in the confession, doubt showed up with credentials. The reason doubt lost is the writing sessions were not up for debate. They were scheduled, protected, and executed whether I believed in myself that day or not. The manuscript did not need my confidence. It needed attendance. Motivators, hear me. Hear me out, motivators. Your energy is the gift, but energy is a spark, not a furnace. Discipline architecture is the furnace. Build it. Your fire survives the days when the spark does not come. Final bosses, audit your own architecture this week. Note your teams. You're the leaders. Look at the calendars, right? The companies, look at the org charts, right? 2 blocks down. And when we come back from when we come back in a few, we got 2 blocks that determine whether the market ever pays you what you are worth. And that's skill supremacy and relationship capital, so don't move. We're getting ready to get into it. So, blocks 3, skill supremacy. Now, family, I need to be blunt about this because this is the block where the market stops caring about your feelings. The market does not pay for effort. The market does not pay for intentions. The market pays for the ability to solve problems it cannot easily solve without you. That is the entire economy in one sentence. And skill supremacy is a decision to be undeniable at something specific instead of decent at everything in general, right? Hear me out. Here's the coaching, right? Most people are one deliberate year away from the top 10% of their field because most of their field stopped studying the day the certificate arrived, right? I'm going to say that again. Most people are one deliberate year away from the top 10% of their field because most of their field Stop studying the day the certificate arrived, right? But when you get the book, the competition is not as fierce as it looks. It is crowded at average and empty at excellent. 23 years in the federal service taught me that, right? Running IT for the DC, them, right? Building a SAT DigiNet and confirming it, right? Rooms full of credentialed people and a phone that still rings for the handful who kept sharpening after everybody else clocked out. I just got off the call with one of my good compadres who are in this field, right? Book 2 gives you the sharpening protocol, how to pick the skill worth supremacy, how to structure deliberate practice around a full life, and how to convert skill into reputation. Because a skill nobody knows about is a treasure buried in your own backyard. Smartz, this block is your home turf. But the chapter will challenge you to publish, present, and be seen, because hidden mastery pays hidden wages, right? Now, let's go to block 4. We're talking about relationship capital. And I want to handle this one carefully because the word networking has been poisoned. Networking, the way most people practice it, is extraction with a smile. Relationship capital, the way book 2 teaches it, is the opposite of that. It deposits before it withdraws. It is becoming the person in your circle who shows up, connects others, and adds value with no invoice attached, so that when you finally do need the door open, there are 20 hands on the handle. Family, look, and look at this very slow when I say it. March 12th, book 1 did not hit Amazon bestseller because of the algorithm. It hit it because of years of deposits. Every episode was a deposit. Every answered message was a deposit. Every Thursday I sat with the guest and put the spotlight on their story instead of mine was a deposit. And when launch day came, this community, the Smartz, the Finalbosses Motivators, the Warriors, you made a withdrawal on my behalf, and I could never have made alone. That is relationship capital demonstrated at public in scale. You are just reading about the block. You are living proof of it, and thank you again. So here's tonight's assignment. You know I got to give you an assignment, right? You know I have to give you an assignment, right? Look, this costs you nothing. But before you go to sleep tonight, make one deposit. Send one message to somebody in your world that asks for nothing. Congratulate, encourage, connect, thank. I'm going to say that one more time. Before you go to sleep tonight, make one deposit with someone. Send them a message, and this person is in your world, and you ask for nothing. You send them a message to congratulate, to encourage, to connect, to thank. One deposit tonight, and watch what it does to you, not just to them. Because generosity rewires the giver first. And yes, if that deposit happens to be telling somebody the train has left the station and book 2 is out now, I will absolutely allow it, right? Look, we got 2 more books. We got 2 more blocks to go, man. And they are the 2 that people neglect until they collapse. We're talking about financial foundation and physical fertility. Stay with me, right? Stay in your seats. Let's go. All right. So we talked about the first 4 blocks. Let's talk about block 5, financial foundation, right? Family, this is the block people avoid talking about in public and cry about in private. So we're going to talk about it in public, but we're not going to cry about it, right? Here is the principle book 2 builds on, and pay attention, right? Pay attention. Money is not the mission. Money is not the mission, people. Stop chasing money. Anything you chase runs away from you, man. Anything you chase runs away from you. Anything you chase runs away from you. Anything you chase runs away from you. I can't keep saying that. Money is not the mission. Money is the margin. And the margin is what keeps a single bad month from deleting a 5-year build. I've watched talented builders lose everything because the idea needed 8 months and their finances gave it 3. The market didn't kill them, the math did, right? Financial foundation, the way the book teaches it is not get rich content. I did not do that because this isn't lottery coaching. It is structural. It is knowing your real numbers because most people are strangers to their own money. It is the building the reserve that provides you decision-making power because a desperate builder makes desperate deals and a desperate dealer compounds worse than debt. It is separating the business's money from the family's money before the mixing costs you both. And it is understanding that every dollar of margin you build is a soldier that guards your vision while you sleep. Final bosses, this is the chapter. This chapter, right? It will read like an audit. And some of you will not enjoy it. It's okay. An audit you do not enjoy is an audit you needed. Warriors, this chapter was written with you, especially in mind, because I know some of you are building from thin margins and the chapter meets you there. It does not shame the starting point. It sequences the escape from it, right? Now, let's talk about physical fertility, right? And I saved this one for last on purpose because it is the block that carries all the others. Family, hear me out. Your body is the only building you cannot move out of. Every vision you have, every skill you sharpen, every relationship you build, every dollar you stack, all of it is stored and executed through one physical vessel, and most builders treat that vessel like a rental car. They run it hard. They skip the maintenance. They say, F the oil change. I'm not changing the tires, and they're going to deal with it later. Well, later always arrives, and later always brings an invoice with interest and receipts. Now, I will confess my own struggles here because I told you tonight has no highlight reel, right? During the hardest stretch of writing book 2, my own physical fertility was the one that was cracking. Sleep was the first thing I sacrificed and the last thing I respected. And I felt the tax. Foggy pages that took twice as long, short patience on days that deserved my best. The book got finished, but I paid the fertility tax on every chapter. And part of why that chapter is so direct is that I wrote it as a correction to myself. Fertility is not vanity. This is not about a beach body. This is about energy as infrastructure. Sleep is a business decision. Movement is a business decision. What you fill this body with is a business decision, right? What you fuel this body with is a business decision because you are the CEO of your life and you work inside of that business every single day. So there you have it. All 6. Vision, clarity, discipline, architecture, skill, supremacy, relationship capital, financial foundation, physical fertility. 6 blocks, 1 build, sequenced and taught across GOTIME 2. The train has left the station. Available right now, tonight, this second. And now, family, we arrive at the segment where I stop describing the book and start talking about the mission. Because book 1 hit number 1, and I have a verdict to deliver about book 2 that some of you are not going to find comfortable. And that is exactly why I'm going to say it, because the uncomfortable verdict is next. Let's get on the board, the fired up train, right? And you know the protocol. Every episode carries a uncomfortable verdict. The thing that is true, whether it isn't pleasant or not, right? And here's tonight's. I'm aiming at it right now to every listener, every single one of you, including the ones who love me most. You see that smile? That million, look at that $1 trillion winning smile. You see it. I got all the teeps, right? All, as the kids say, the teefuses. All the wisdoms too. All of them, right? You saw that $1 trillion smile. Look. Support that stays in your heart does not move a book 1 inch up the chart. Not 1 inch. Now sit with that, right? I know if it's uncomfortable. I know some of you listening tonight, full of genuine love for the show, genuinely proud of book 1, genuinely excited about book 2, and you have not bought it yet. And you're planning to eventually, when you get paid, when things settle, when you finish the book you're already on. Family, I'm not questioning your heart. Your heart is why the family exists. I'm telling you, on the record, the charts cannot read hearts. Amazon's bestseller list is not measuring who loves you, me or you. It is measuring who moved. And this week, in this window, that's the whole game. Pretending otherwise will be coaching you dishonestly, right? So let me explain why number 1 actually matters, because I refuse to chase a vanity metric and refuse to ask you to as well. Number 1 is not about ego. Number 1 is a beacon. When GOTIME 1 hit the bestsellers list on March 12th, something happened that hadn't nothing to do with me. Strangers found the book. People who never heard of this podcast, never heard of Turbo the CEO, never heard of The Final Boss, saw the banner and gave the book a chance. And some of them wrote to me months later what it changed, or they wrote about what it changed, right? And that's what the ranking buys. Reach beyond the family. Every rank the book climbs, the message travels 1 ring further out. To some warrior in a city I would never visit who needs the 6 building blocks of reward and does not know the show exists. When you buy this book during launch week, you're not doing me a favor. You are funding a signal flare, like the Batman signal going up in the sky. Instead, you're going to see the final boss signal, right? And here's the verdicts. Sharper edge, right? Because the verdict without an order is just commentary. If this show has ever given you anything, one insight on a Monday, and charge it asking for tonight, is not a charity, it's an alignment. Go get the book tonight. Not the weekend, tonight. While the launch window is hot, because velocity is what the chart rewards. By GOTIME 2, the train has left the station. If you already got it at midnight, I know some of you day oneers did, then your next move is a review, because reviews are the currency that convinces strangers. And if you cannot put a second copy in somebody's hands, a mentee, a coworker, one of your kids, then you just became part of somebody's origin story, right? And book 1 went number 1 because this family moved together on day 1. And I'm asking for the sequel to do the same, to carry that same moment. Literally, same family, same unity, new book. The verdict stands. Love does not move. Does not count on the charts. So move. In the next few minutes, I'm going to make moving even easier, because there is a special coming that digital readers need to hear about. The harvest before the harvest. It's coming up next. Right? I'm going to go over. Stay with me. Give me 10, 15 minutes. Right? All right, family, let's lean in, because this segment I have an announcement. I want zero confusion about the details. You know what season we're in, right? The show entered, or will be entering, the harvest on episode 300, right? The harvest is the season where planet things get gathered. And in the spirit of the season, or preseason, I should say, we're going to be running a special. And I named it what it is. The harvest before the harvest special. And here's what it is, right? For a limited window around this launch week, we're going to be running a special on GOTIME 2, the Fired Up Train, for digital copies only. Let me repeat. Digital copies only. Because I promise zero confusion. I'm going to say it again. Digital copies only. The ebook, the version you can be reading 90 seconds from now on the phone that is probably in your hands right now at this moment. The paperback is priced where it is priced, and it is worth every cent. The physical book is the weapon, and I want it on your shelf eventually. But Harvest Before the Harvest special is the digital doorway, and it will be opening very soon. I'm going to keep you posted about it, but I'm telling you about it tonight, right? So you can lock in. And why I'm doing this? Because two reasons. I would give you both because this family gets the real reasoning, not just the promotion. Reason one, access. I told you earlier, Warriors, that this book meets you at the platform you're actually standing on. Some of you are building from thin margins right now, and I refuse to let the price be the reason that any member of this family misses the train. The digital special exists so that very thing, when it happens, the distance between you and the 6 billion blocks of reward is smaller than the cost of the launch, or your launch, I should say. And this is deliberate. And that's for you. And reason number two, I'm going to be totally transparent, is velocity, right? We just talked about the verdict. Now, launch week movement is what gets climbed up the charts. And digital copies move at the speed at the tap. The special is designed to turn this conversation and that book up the mountain. Right? Literally overnight. So here's exactly what I want you to do, step by step. Right? Listen. Next week, I'm going to make an announcement. I want you to grab the digital copy. It's going to be under Harvest Before the Harvest special. Right? And you're going to open it up on Amazon and you're going to get the digital copy, right? And if you haven't read book one, GOTIME, All Aboard the Fired Up Train, I might add that into it as well. And to my motivators, this is a direct tasking. Next week is the special, and it's going to be powerful if people know it exists. So take the flyer, take the post, take tonight's clip and put the words Harvest Before the Harvest in front of it so everybody you know who reads it on the screen, and tell them the digital only copy, right? Tell them limited window. Tell them the train is boarding at the lowest fare it would ever have on a limited time. So you have people in your life who've been circling the content for months waiting for a sign. Family, be the sign. The harvest season is here, but this right here is the early gathering, the harvest before the harvest. And nobody in this family should miss it. Right? Nobody should miss it. Right? Next, we're going to be talking about if you missed the train. Right? Nah, we're not going to do that. We're going to talk about the future. Right? We're going to talk about the future. So, family, stay where you at. We're almost done. I opened the map, and I'm going to show you where all this is going. Because tonight is a milestone. But milestone is a marker on the road, and roads keep going. So let me talk about the future of the trilogy, of the show, and the family, right? Let's start with the trilogy. You know the architecture now. Tier 1, who you be, delivered. Tier 2, what you build, delivered. Which means the road ahead is tier 3. All right? Tier 3 is targeted for 2027, and I would tell you what I can tell you tonight. If book 1 forged the builder and book 2 gave the builder the blocks, book 3 is the builder doing what the book says they're supposed to do. You thought I was going to give it away. It is the difference between having capability and deploying it against real resistance and real markets, against real competition on real timelines. Dominance is not a personality trait. It is an executed plan. Tier 3 is that plan. Everything you learn in the 6 building blocks becomes ammunition for what book 3 asks you to do with them. So understand what you are really holding when you buy book 2. You are holding the middle movement of a symphony that already has a finale written on the horizon. And there is more on the road. Because early 2027, before the trilogy closes, comes a different kind of project. Dun, 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 dun. Final Boss Origins. I'm going to keep the details close tonight, right? Because that story deserves its own night. But I will say this much. You cannot name a podcast, the Final Boss podcast, for years without eventually answering the question of where the Final Boss came from. Origins is that answer, right? The seasons of my life before the platforms, before the titles, before the raw material of everything you see now is forged from. Some of you have asked me for years to tell you that story properly in 2027. I do. Right? Now, the future of the mission itself, because books and shows are vehicles, not destinations. And here's what I actually see when I look down this track. I see a family that entered 5 seasons on the way, right? The harvest on the way, right? 2 weeks from now. Together, gathering what years of planning earned, and I see the 4 communities growing and 4 institutions. Smartz building curriculum from the content. Final Bosses building companies on these blocks and hiring from the inside the family. Motivators carrying this message into rooms I would never enter. Warriors becoming the mentors they once needed, telling some future struggler I was on the platform once too. And here's how I boarded. And that is the real trilogy, family. Book reader, multiplied life. That is the only royalty I'm chasing in his legacy, right? And I'm going to say one more thing about your own road, plainly and simple. The doctorate continues. The research continues. The building at SatDigiNet continues. I'm not slowing down. I'm not sequencing. And the same way the book teaches, every project you've watched me deliver came off a track that was laid years earlier in a notebook nobody saw. The future I just described to you is already on the track. The only variable, and I mean this with all my heart, is how many of this family rided with me all the way to the end of the line. Look, almost done. Almost done. Give me 10 minutes. The next one, if you have been waiting all night for me to look you in your eyes and coach you directly, the wait is over, right? The wait is over. Let's get to it. Right? Listen. No announcements. This is about me and you. Me and you. Right? Wherever you are right now, in the car, in the kitchen, in the gym, on the couch, laying in the dark, sitting at the pool, in a jacuzzi, getting a massage, about to get in some trouble, whatever you're doing, right? Laying in the dark with your phone on your chest. Listen, you've been circling your own potential for a very long time, and you know it. I know it. You have the notebook with the idea in it. You have the business that is 80% planned. You have the degree you keep almost enrolling in. The manuscript you keep almost starting. The conversation you keep almost having. And every time you circle it, you tell yourself a version of the same sentence. When the time is right. Well, family, I named this whole series GOTIME because I needed you to hear the counter sentence every time you saw the cover. The time does not become right. You declare it right. GOTIME is not found on a calendar. It is spoken into one, right? Now, here's what I've learned over the last 23 years of federal service across building a company, across finishing my master's, while carrying and moving into my doctorates in 2 weeks, across writing several books in margins of life that had no margins. Nobody is coming to hand you a permission slip. There is no committee that reviews your readiness and mails you a certificate. The people you admire, every single one of them at some point stood exactly where you are standing, unready, unfunded, uncertain, and boarded the train anyway. The only difference between them and the person still on the platform is the boarding. That's it. That is the entire secret, and it costs nothing and everything at the same time. And here's the charge. And I'm going to give it to every pillar of this family at once. And we're talking about tonight. Before you sleep, you take one irreversible step toward the thing you've been circling. For most of you, step 1 is sitting on Amazon right now in your cart. GOTIME 2, the train has left the station. The digital copy, Harvest Before the Harvest special, comes next week. If the margins are thin, the paperback, if you want it, and on the shelf with my signature staring right at you very soon, right? Both books. If you boarded book one, Go Time All Aboard the Fired Up Train. But hear me clearly, the purchase is the beginning of the charge, not the end of it. You buy the book tonight, and then you open it tonight. Chapter 1 tonight, not saved to the pile of good intentions, but opened, because the version of you on the other side of these 6 blocks of reward is not going to build itself. He or she is not going to build him or herself. You are the builder. That is the material. Tonight is the groundbreaking. It's time to break some slabs and build. And when doubt shows up, because it will, while you're reading, it will, it shows up with credentials. Remember what I told you in the confession? You don't have to feed it or fill it. You only have to out-attend it, right? Show up to your own life like it is scheduled appointment, because starting tonight, it is. The train has left the station. Family, that is no longer a title. It is your situation. Get on board. 1 segment left, and it comes with a promise next week when I need to hear back from you, right? So let's get into it. Now, I told you earlier, my beautiful mother asked me a question. She said, do you ever get tired? And I sat there and I looked at her and I said, man, God don't let me get tired, Mom. God does not let me get tired, man. So shout out to T-Biscuit, man. T-Biscuit. Look, during this entire segment, I told you tonight's guest chair and host chair were the same chair. Now, let me close by telling you what this hour was really about. And then I'm going to leave a door open that you will want to walk back through next week when we revisit this conversation. Tonight was a receipt for the community that book 1, Go Time All Aboard the Fired Up Train, became a bestseller on March 12th. And a receipt for every hour, every doubt, every 4 a.m. session that turned the concept into the book that dropped last night at midnight. Book 2, Go Time 2, The Train Has Left the Station, live in the world as of last night, right? And we honored the Smartz Finalbosses Motivators Warriors by name, because the 4 pillars carried this house, and pillars get named in this family. We opened the confession and showed the invoice. We toured all 6 building blocks of reward: vision, clarity, discipline, architecture, skill supremacy, relationship capital, financial foundation, physical fertility. We delivered the verdict. Love that does not move does not count on the chart. We announced the harvest before the harvest special, digital copies only, limited window, and the lowest fare this train would ever run. And we look down the track at Go Time 3 and beyond. So here are your marching orders one last time, right? Clean and numbered, in good spirit. 1, go buy Go Time 2 All Aboard the Fired Up Train tonight, right? 2, if you never boarded book 1, buy the Fired Up Train in the same cart and read in sequence, right? 3, leave your honest review this week, because reviews recruit strangers to the family. 4, share the flyer or anything I put out on social media. Share the special, tag the show, put 1 copy in the hands of somebody who needs it. And 5, read 1 chapter. Read 1 before you sleep, right? That's 5 moves. None of them hard, all of them compounding. That is how family takes a book to number, or I should say, take the book to bestseller more than once, right? Now, here's the open loop. And family, I've been holding this in all night. Next week on the show, I'm going to reveal something connected to the launch that nobody, and I mean nobody outside of my own notebooks have ever seen. It touches the future I described in segment earlier, right? It touches this family directly. And when you see it, you're going to understand that tonight's release was not about the destination. It was about the ignition. It was the fire. And I would not say another word about it, right? But if you have ever wonder what it looks like when years of quiet track laying finally gets unveiled, do not miss next Thursday. Set the reminder before you close the app. That is not a tease. That is a boarding announcement. Family, thank you for joining me, for giving me a piece of your life. Thank you for the March 12th Amazon bestseller. Thank you in advance for what this week is about to become. Go get the book. Go leave the review. Go make your deposit. And whatever platform you've been standing on in your business, in your health, in your family, in your faith, in your build, hear the whistle one last time. The train has left the station and there is a seat with your name on it at the very next stop. This has been Special Guest Thursdays. I am the Final Boss. This is the Final Boss Podcast. We are on this journey together. Get on board the train. If you're not on the station right now, meet us at the next destination. Until next time, I will see you guys on Sitting Down Sundays. And as always, there's a heavy pain that comes with discipline. And there's a heavy pain that comes with regret. I am here. We are here. Be balanced, be equal, be smart. And if I don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. That is our show. Y'all have a great night. Go get the book. Talk to you soon.